session at 7 o'clock. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Costa. Dr. McGee, roll call.
Chairman Bourget,
Yes.
Vice Chair Burke,
Yes.
Mrs. Kepiscus,
Yes.
Mrs. Costa,
Yes.
Mr. Leclerc.
Yes. Next, I'll make a motion to seal the closed session minutes of the September 8, 2021 closed session. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Leclerc and Mrs. Costa. Dr. McGee.
Chairman Bourget,
Yes.
Vice Chair Burke,
Yes.
Mrs. Kepiscus, Mrs. Costa,
Yes.
Mr. Leclerc.
Yes. I'd just like to report on the closed session on a 5-0 vote. The committee voted to approve the contracts of all non-union employees. Would you please join me in standing for a moment of silence in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
Indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next, we'll go into good and welfare. If there's anyone who would like to address the school committee, please come to the podium. State your name and address for the record.
Hello.
Bring him.
Okay. Can you hear me now? We good?
I'm not sure if it's turned on.
How about now? Are we good?
Oh, maybe. Working. Maybe you speak a little louder.
Okay.
There we go.
That was good.
How about now? That good? All right. I just don't want to yell too loud. My name is Melissa Bubble, and I live at 650 3rd Avenue, Woonsocket, Rhode Island. I come to you today about the heat in the Coleman School. I know that I had brought this up last year towards the end. It seems like none of the teachers know anything about the heat days that we had discussed last year or what's going to be done. So I was just curious on where we were at on that. And then I had also noticed that one of the classrooms had an AC put in on the first day of school. I did hear that it was mostly because of a child in there that had needed it for the medical reasons. And I am so glad that that child was able to get that. However, I also think that maybe that there's some other parents whose kids also need that and don't know how to go about either asking for it. And then I also think that there's other really hot classrooms in that school, particularly one of my sons. He's on the 3rd floor, and I heard that his classroom gets actually the hottest out of the whole entire school. So if we're going to start putting ACs in classrooms for medical reasons, I think that's great. And I think that other parents should know about that so that their kids can go to school and be comfortable in it for medical reasons. But then also for the classrooms that get the hottest out of the whole entire school, I think those should also be considered. And then my son brought home the water bottles that they're handing out at school. They're still considerably small. And he has told me that he has to get up from his seat quite often to refill it. I think that's time consuming for them because if they're only getting 2 to 3 sips out of these water bottles, they're constantly getting up out of their seat. Where I think if they had a slightly bigger bottle or a normal size bottle, it would be easier for them to take sips throughout the day and then not have to get up and fill their water bottle. And that's all I have for tonight.
Thank you, Melissa.
Thank you.
Anyone else? If there's anyone else that would like to address the school committee, please come to the podium. State your name and address for the record, please. Sarah. Sarah. Here we go. Anyone else? Hearing none, we'll go into recognitions and announcements. Dr. McGee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the school committee. I'm going to start my recognitions and announcements with district orientation and professional development day here in the Woonsocket Education Department. On August 30th, we had our district orientation day, which was at the Woonsocket High School auditorium. All teachers and staff and administrators were in attendance. It was a great opportunity to see people that many of us hadn't seen in some instances in a year and a half. It was just really nice to see the excitement on the teachers and the staff and the administrators to start a new school year, one which we all believe that we're going to get much closer back to normalcy. There were two themes that I stressed when I addressed the district on that orientation morning, and two of them are, first was academic rigor. I stressed the importance of providing academic rigor to our students here in the Woonsocket Education Department. We utilize at all levels, we utilize three questions to our students. What are they learning? Why are they learning it? And how basically can they measure their learning? How do they know that they're learning? And then the second priority continues to be our social emotional learning and providing supports to all of our students around social emotional supports such as mental health. We are continuing to train our teachers and staff in trauma-informed schools. So those were the two messages, the two priorities that I discussed during orientation. Following day, the 31st, was professional development. And that was a little different this year. In years past, we've provided professional development opportunities from the district level. This time it was building-based, and the principals and assistant principals and other staff in their schools coordinated and facilitated the professional development days. My second announcement is we've completed almost the first full week of school. I believe that it was a very successful week. It was different, if nothing else. It was nice seeing students sitting in classrooms with their teachers. It was just nice to see us start a school year in a normal way, albeit, everyone was wearing masks. And I'd like to applaud our families and our students and our staff for, taking this mandate seriously. Didn't have any issues. And it was just a nice opportunity to start the school year on a positive note. And I'm hopeful that this year we will see very many successes in the Woonsocket Education Department. Busing, if there were any issues this week, busing, the bus company they're still trying to iron out the wrinkles, if you will, of the pickups and the deliveries. So they're working on that, and hopefully that will become much smoother as we proceed into the fall. And lastly, I want to thank the Elijah Project, which is an East Providence-based relief organization. They donated over 400 cartons of face masks, hand sanitizer, and disinfecting wipes to the Woonsocket Education Department. I also want to thank the Councilwoman Valerie Gonzalez and her husband for being the conduit, really, between the district and the Elijah Project. So again, thank you to all of them for their very generous donation. With that, Mr. Chairman, that concludes my recognitions and announcements.
Thank you, Dr. McGee. Any school committee member have any comments? I'll make a motion to receive and place on file the recognitions and announcements. Is there a second? Second by Mrs. Costa. All in favor?
Aye.
Next, we'll go into the approval of minutes. I'll make a motion to approve the August 25th, 2021 closed session minutes. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Costa. Dr. McGee, roll call.
Chairman Bourget,
Yes.
Vice Chair Burke,
Yes.
Mrs. Kapiskas, Mrs. Costa.
Yes.
Yes. Next, I'll make a motion to approve the August 25th, 2021 open session minutes. Is there a second? Second. Second by Vice Chair Burke. Dr. McGee.
Chairman Bourget,
Yes.
Vice Chair Burke,
Yes.
Mrs. Kapiskas, Mrs. Costa.
Yes.
Yes. Next, we'll go into the consent agenda. I'll make a motion to discuss and approve the consent agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Costa. I believe we do have at least some items that we want to pull out for homeschooling requests. Why don't we start with that? But are there any other items that the committee would like to discuss separately?
I have two things, Mr. Chairman.
Would we want to do what? Okay. Why don't we start with you, Dr.
Okay, so under the homeschooling request, there are a series of 5 requests that we're going to the homeschooling list. They are the 5 that fall under the program, and it's the Rhode Island Connections Academy. Those are not going to be homeschool requests. Those will be basically out of district opportunities that are provided to those families. So those 5 would be pulled from the current list.
And Dr. McGee, what is the impact of doing that?
So when a student is homeschooled, we do not receive their per pupil expenditure. However, with the Connections Academy, those are students that are attending this virtual program, and we are receiving, while we're paying a portion of tuition, we are still receiving their per pupil amount.
Okay, Burke, you have some comments or questions?
Yes, I have 2 questions on the purchases. I may have missed the original discussion of it. One time I wasn't here, but the 66 plus $1,000 for seal coating and crack for the parking lot in the high school. Do you ever see a bid on that, or because it's $66,000, and I don't remember seeing the bid on that, unless it was, maybe I missed it that one meeting I was here, and maybe it's a rationale why not. And also the sole source wheelchair bus, 73 plus $1,000. Did we ever see a bid on that, or did we ever approve those things? They just seem to be very high amounts, and I've never seen them before.
I'm going to let Mr. Perrier address that because we've had a discussion for both items, but I'll turn it over to Mr. Perrier and Mr. Notoriani, but those are great points. Please.
So we'll begin with the seal coat repair, Mr. Vice Chair. Back in January of this year, we received a report from the Rhode Island Interlocal Trust about damages to our parking lot at the high school. That report was fairly comprehensive. It did touch on a lot of the deficiencies that the parking lot currently had. So there were many cracks. There were many other problems with the parking lot. That put it on our radar. So as we begun the 5-year capital planning process, we actually wanted to have these parking lots repaired and actually redone entirely as part of that 5-year capital plan process. Over the summer, though, we did have an incident where somebody did fall down, and the decision was made by the administration that we needed to address that right away before school started so that we would avoid these incidents going forward. So with that interest in mind, we decided to move forward with emergency repair to the parking lot before the school year started.
The emergency repair, if you deem it that, does that require an RFP?
No, it doesn't. As the purchasing agent for the school department, I do have the authority to declare an emergency repair if there's a need of safety, if there is a safety issue as part of the issue.
This company that we use, have we used them in the past?
Yes, this is a company that we have used historically here in the school department to do work for us, particularly with seal coating.
The van and the bus?
Believe was discussed, I believe at our previous meeting or the one before that. This is the 3rd van for the TransPro transition program at the high school. So we did add an additional program, and it does require transportation to bring students back and forth to various locations. And when we approved the prior 2 vans at the time, I I believe there was a brief discussion about getting the third van and then making sure that it included a wheelchair lift. And that's exactly what this van is before you this evening. So it's a van, it's got some specialized equipment to it to make sure that it's ADA compliant for the students at Woonsocket High School. And the other two vans, I'm happy to say, they complement this third one, were delivered to the high school today, and we have some very happy staff. And more importantly, I'd like to say students who are riding in a comfortable, appropriate van versus the, 10-year-old ones that we were using beforehand.
Yeah, I don't disagree with any one of these purchases, but they were a surprise to me, and I just wanted clarification, and obviously you offered that to us. So, thank you.
Absolutely, Vice Chairman.
Anyone else? Then I will, I'll make a motion to amend the consent agenda for the homeschooling requests. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Dr. McGee?
Chairman Bourget,
Yes.
Vice Chair Burke,
Yes.
Mrs. Kepiscus, Mrs. Costa,
Yes.
Mr. Leclerc.
Yes.
Next, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as amended. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Costa. Dr. McGee?
Chairman Bourget,
Yes.
Vice Chair Burke,
Yes.
Mrs. Kepiscus, Mrs. Costa.
Yes.
Yes.
We have no communication, so I'll turn it over to you, Dr. McGee, for your report.
Chairman. So I'm going to start with personnel matters. Let me first announce that we have 12 teaching positions that are still unfilled in the Woonsocket Education Department. And we are making progress. I think the last time we were around 18 or so, the last time we had a meeting. So we're still working diligently to try to fill as many of those positions as quickly as we can. We have approximately 15 teacher assistant positions as well. However, we're hoping that over the next week or so, there's a group of prospective TAs who are going to be completing their certification. And we're hopeful that once they do that, there'll be a pool that will be available, and we'll hopefully lure them to the great Woonsocket Education Department. So hopefully that number will go down. We have, between the last school committee and tonight, however, we've filled 10 teaching positions, and we have also filled 8 teacher assistant or PCA personal care assistant positions as well. The second item on my superintendent's report is the Freshman Academy. Committee is aware that at Woonsocket High School, we started, or the Woonsocket High School started the implementation of a 9th grade freshman academy, which is basically the same type of a model that you would see in a middle school. So we have, in the 9th grade, we have 4 teams. And when I say a team, I mean it's a group of approximately 100 to 112 students that have the same 4 core teachers regularly. And one of the many benefits of a freshman academy is the opportunity to provide more personalization to students, so that students are with one another more often, and their teachers are with them more often. And just as importantly, teachers are able to collaborate with one another. They're able to meet with one another through their common planning time that they have in the mornings at the high school. So that's where we are. I did ask Mr. Gio to just provide a little narrative to me that I'm going to read to the committee with your permission. It's just a basic update of the Freshman Academy. So freshman students had a great start to the school year. Students have begun to settle into their 4 teams of teachers and spent last week reviewing team expectations, routines, and team building activities. And again, these are the teachers that are working together. We will also continue more of this work this current week. All grade 9 students met with the administration team on Wednesday to review safety, behavioral, and academic expectations for the school year, and also to review the supports available to all high school students. So what they're doing at the high school is they're providing these opportunities for the freshmen together, so that it's not a large high school group where you are mixed with other upperclassmen. They're really secluded with one another. Teachers spent time together in a professional development session to brainstorm and share ideas on the structure of the academy, how communication among and between teams will work, and how to streamline communication with families. Again, communication is very important. Within the team, it's important, and it's also very important between the team and families and parents. They're going to continue to provide professional development opportunities for their teachers throughout the year, and teachers will also be meeting regularly during common planning time in the morning. They're also going to be, we're going to be working with Mr. Gio and his administration around supporting that team instructionally. So I mentioned during my recognitions and announcements that two of the priorities in the district are, number one, academic rigor, which includes the 3 questions. And we're going to be meeting with Mr. Gio and his team, and then soon providing professional development to the freshman academy teachers around utilizing those 3 questions in all of their lessons and their units, as well as providing an increased amount of academic rigor and a lot of project-based opportunities for our freshman students this year. So I'm really excited about the opportunities. This is new to Woonsocket. We've never had a freshman academy before. And I think that we're going to really provide our students and their families with that personalized opportunity to collaborate with one another and to provide really the best education that we can to our 9th graders. We all know that oftentimes you lose a high school student in the 9th grade. So they're working very hard. The teachers and the administrators and district staff are working very hard to make sure that this program is strong off the ground, and we're providing the necessary supports to our freshmen and their families. So having said that, Mr. Chairman, that concludes my report. I would be happy to answer any questions that the committee may have.
Just one question/comment for either you or Mr. Gio is in the audience is the freshman academy certainly has all 112 students together. How will they be integrated with the rest of the student body? Because if they're not, and if they're kept basically in their own cell, then next year it's like going to a brand new school. So how is that being addressed?
So while they're somewhat segregated with one another, they still go to electives that are in other parts of the building. So they are mingling with upperclassmen. So it's not like for example, they have a section of the high school, the 2nd floor, is sort of designated, a large portion of it, the 9th grade floor. However, they still go to other parts of the building. They still, are going to the basement, to their science classes. And they're going to the 1st floor for other electives that they're taking. So they are interacting with other students at the high school, but for their core subjects, they're together, and their teachers are all together as well. So we're sort of providing them the best of both worlds.
Mr. Chairman, just quickly, how are we doing in hiring the assistant principal for the freshman academy?
So I know I spoke to Mr. Gio about that just this afternoon, and Mr. Gio has some interviews that they've conducted some interviews, and they have more interviews that they're going to be conducting tomorrow. So we're hopeful that potentially if things go really well, possibly by the end of this week, we'll have a candidate that we'll interview a second time. So hopefully that will happen sooner rather than later, Mr. Burke.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Then I'll make a motion to receive and place on file the superintendent's report. All in favor? Oh, is there a second? Is there a second, Mrs. Costa? All in favor?
Aye.
Having no other items on our agenda, I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting at 7:24 p.m. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 I think it breaks a record, but it's close.
Awfully close.